So when we talk about offense or defense or team play, there's this principle we talk about often at a high level, but even at a low level of just learning how to self-organize, learning how to organize yourselves collectively. Um, I guess I would call it a skill. I guess it would, we talk about feel and instinct and decisions. It's something that I think is really, really undervalued. You can give an offense to a young team, and I don't think that's a bad thing at all, as long as it's just not taking up so much of your time that it's driving kids crazy and boring. But I think it gives them a language to speak together that they start to see options off of. That can be a good thing at a youth level, especially at an older youth level. But in basketball, especially if you want kids who really are comfortable with the game, you want to teach them how to organize themselves. And sometimes it's as simple as I've mentioned this in my coaching tidbit, just giving them one thing to organize around, right? Offensively, it might be we're going to, for me, it was always we're going to pass and do something. So the passer has to act. We would do in practice a lot of times, if you pass and stood, it's a turnover, right? Just to form the habit of, I don't really care what you do, I just want you to have that habit of passing and moving. But in the context of a summer league play, if you want them to organize around something, it's good to just give them one thing to think about, right? Passing and cutting, or passing and ball screening, or passing and going away, or passing and slip screen, or we're going to play as fast as we can and shoot as quickly as we can every single possession. There's a lot of different options for that, and it's good to vary those options so that the players themselves can organize around that principle. But it's also good for players to have the opportunity to just organize themselves however they see fit. The reason that's difficult to handle is because they're not going to do it well. In order to do it well, you have to do it poorly first, just like anything else. Again, us as coaches and as volunteers and parents can give them things to organize around. I have no problem with that, and I've recommended that in our coaching tidbit video. But I also think it's good to have a quarter where it's just like you're free to play. And you could, any number of options. You can even screen for one person, but I think it's good for players to learn how to self-organize. And, the way you do that is, letting them go. That's the youngest level. That's what your kids are learning, is how to organize themselves on a basketball court. You'll see a lot of kids when they're young standing behind their defender, and they just kind of stand there and they don't realize they need to move into space. Well, we can remind them often. We can move into space, move into space, move into space. That's okay, as long as we're not hooting and hollering and screaming. But it does take a lot of time for them to understand that concept and to organize themselves collectively with other people. So, just understand that that's where the game is built upon, right? It's something you want to move towards. And in order to move towards there, we let kids play. And the last thing I would say, and I've said this in other videos, is we simplify the decisions, right? In order to organize yourselves, if there's too many guys on the court, there's just complete disorder because there's too many decisions to make, right? If you're playing 5-on-5 with college players, they can now conceptually understand why this decision is the best decision to cut or to fade or to set screens. But believe it or not, we're still teaching those things at this level. So you can refine it later on, but it starts with a great deal of freedom to self-organize and at first to do it poorly. So don't get discouraged, but understand that you're encouraging them along the way.